If a person only has one property, like their first property, or maybe they're about to buy their second property, would this still be software that you would recommend for them?
Absolutely.
Let's actually give people a visual. So do you have time to show us a little bit today?
I can. I'm happy to. On our debit card side, which is obviously we issue a debit card, you earn anywhere from 1 to 5% cash back depending on what you're using.
You said that Baselane is free. So access to the software is free.
And you're not charging late fees automatically. You're just being a casual landlord. That just means you're not serious. You have to run it like a business.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Super excited to bring you all a special guest, and especially if you all are in the rental investing space or you're looking to build your rental portfolio. You're probably thinking about becoming a landlord, owning multiple properties one day. Well, listen, you're right on time. So get your notepads out. I was able to get one of our special guests, and listen, he does not have a lot of time, so make sure that you all are ready for this interview. Okay, so of course, without any further ado, I want to introduce you all to Mr. Saad. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, absolutely. So now, Saad, of course, I know you wanted to go over a few things because you're also a real estate investor yourself. As a matter of fact, let's jump right into that. So you actually own some properties yourself. And how did you find yourself in that rental investing space?
I became a landlord by accident, like a lot of people do, I think. About 5 years ago, where we were about to sell our first home that we had in New York and moving to another state.
Yeah.
And I was advised by a family member with a lot more experience and all of that to say, hey, don't sell that property. Keep it, rent it out. Do not sell. I literally took it off the listing and kept it, and then kind of just figured out how to become a landlord. And about a year into it, I thought, hey, man, like this is actually pretty good. I'm making decent money here. Reached out to one of my ex-colleagues at BCG and said, hey, we should partner up and do this thing. And he was like, yeah, I want to do this. And we kind of decided to start investing. And so today we have 18 units, mostly long-term. And we started about 2.5 years ago in Philadelphia, which is close by to where we were at the time.
Okay.
And we've got 18 units, mostly long-term, a couple of short-term / midterm experiments going on at the moment, and looking to scale up to get to 30.
Wow, man, 18 units. I could only imagine what it takes to kind of keep up with all the chaos that comes with. Obviously, every tenant doesn't always work out the way we want them to. And I can only imagine, how you're able to, put all of that together. So, of course, not only that, but there are some things that you actually want to cover today on what makes that process a little bit more easier for you to manage. And you actually want to go over, software that's actually called Baselane. And as a matter of fact, what is Baselane and how is it helping so many landlords and property investors like yourself?
Yeah, and I'll actually tell you the origin story a little bit, because as a digital millennial, like all of us, wanted a really cool product when I started managing these properties and all of that. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
And me and my partner, we got so frustrated with this whole industry. We're like, what the heck is this? Like, how come we don't have like digitally first, like native products that are just amazing to use for real estate investing?
Yeah.
What's going on? And I got introduced through a friend of mine to the founders of Baselane a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out what they were building, which is exactly sort of an all-in-one platform, which includes your digital banking solution, includes your property management tool set, includes your bookkeeping and your reporting software, and it helps you run your real estate business as an investor, as a smaller investor especially. Wow. And I got very excited about that. I decided to join the company about 3 years ago. So yeah, I put my money where my mouth is. I joined the company and I said, I'm all in on real estate. I'm going to invest in it, but I also want that to be my day job. So today I lead business development and partnerships at Baselane. And what Baselane does is really just three things. It gives you back your time, which is really the most important commodity all of us have, is having the time to run the business and be with our families and all of that, instead of doing random tasks that you need to do, which can take away a lot of your time, right? It gives you visibility and control, which the vast majority of investors today don't have. We don't know how we're doing, how we're performing. If I ask you today, how much you earn actually per door on a unit basis, and what is the average of the last 6 months and 12 months and so on, can you tell me that? Probably not, right? Because you just don't know. And our thesis is that if you don't know this, you can't scale. You can't achieve your financial goals, which all of us want: financial independence, retire early, right? Generate more passive income for our families. How do you actually do that unless you run it like a business, have that visibility and control, and do what the pros do. The big companies, they're doing that. They're looking at reports, they're looking at analysis, they're optimizing, right? And they're really trying to scale that way with data. So Baselane's vision is to give you that time back by automating things, give you that visibility and control on the spend side and the expenses and the performance, and also like give you value in terms of just more ways to earn money through our banking products, so that where regular banks are not giving you incentives and rewards for real estate investing, we are. So think of Baselane as a new product and platform that is designed only for real estate investors. That's what we are.
Wow.
And it's really a unique thing that we've built, and we're very excited about it because we think it could really help the vast majority of investors. But one stat I'll give you is more than, I think, 95% of investors in the US today are people that own 1 to 4 units.
Wow.
Meaning, meaning like most of us own 1 to 4. And if our goal is to get to, like financial freedom and 10K a month or 20K a month of passive income, we're not getting there. Right. And as these things get more competitive and more commercial companies are coming into the space, how do we as individual investors like become successful, generate that passive income? And that's what Baselane is trying to do, is help you with your goals by giving you the education and the products and the tools you need to run your real estate business successfully.
Wow, man. Listen, I think that's absolutely amazing, because like you said, there's a lot of people out here that own rental properties, but they couldn't answer that question, at least at the speed, without having to, probably do some math in their head. And the short version is they don't have everything organized, and from what I'm hearing, and I hate to name drop, but it's like a QuickBooks almost, for, property management, but not just that, that's just an added piece to it. And then I do want to ask you another question, Saad, is if a person only has one property, like their first property, or maybe they're about to buy their second property, would this still be software that you would recommend for them?
Absolutely. So Baselane is built for all kinds of investors of different strategies and sizes, right? I'm a BRRRR investor. I invest, as you heard, in long-term, midterm, and short-term.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter, even if you're a fix and flipper and you're just, like doing that for now, and you're not getting into rentals yet, and you might get into it in the future. We built it so that at the core of it is the banking. And the reason we did that is because that's the heart of really any business, right? That's where all the money is coming in, all the expenses are going out. And that's how you that's the central operation of your business. And so if you think about it, entry-level investors that have 1 to 2 properties may still be using personal bank accounts. Huge no-no, right? We do not want to do that. We want to professionalize, have a business, and have a business banking account. So Baselane, you can open your business checking account in 3 to 4 minutes.
Wow.
Online.
Okay. Wow.
Right.
That's pretty quick.
So value delivered, period.
Instantly.
Right there up front. Sometimes it goes to manual review, and there's takes a little bit longer.
Okay.
But that's one convenient factor. It's free. There's no charges to do that. And once you have your business, and I'll show you what it looks like, you can then organize way better than any current bank you have will allow you to do. And I'll show you what that means and why that's so important. And then really it doesn't matter if you have 1 property or if you have 10. You still need to manage your income and expenses. You still need to do the bookkeeping. You still need to understand how much are you earning, right? And you still need to get a good experience to your tenants also for rent collection and all those things. So in real estate, that's the beauty of it. It's like whether you have 1 unit or 10 or 20, a lot of the work, and sometimes grunt work, it's still there, right?
Wow.
And so when I hear people using Zelle and Cash App and Venmo for rent collection, I'm like pulling my hair out. I'm already losing most of it, but man, why are you doing that? You're taking such a huge risk, right? And you're not charging late fees automatically. You're just being a casual landlord. That just means you're not serious. And if you want to get serious and earn the real money and achieve success like you did and others did in this space, you have to run it like a business. And that's what we help you do.
Wow. Man, you know what? I think you're hitting some hard points here. And you're kind of doing it casual. And I think that, because it's so easy to become a landlord, I mean, you're just buying a building, really. You're throwing a tenant in there. And the thing is that people like you mentioned, they don't look for this type of software. They don't look for the type of training or the resources. You know what? Let's actually give people a visual. So do you have time to show us a little bit today?
I can. I'm happy to. Let me share my screen. I'll give you 1 second here. And what I'll do is I'm just on one of our dashboards that I've used to just log in. So this is a demo account just for YouTube. This is not real data. So not real data at all. This is all 100% fake data. So it's
Okay.
not anybody's personal information, just in case the algorithm thinks it is and tries
Right.
to push the video off. We've had that issue before. And
Okay.
so again, as I mentioned, at the heart of it, we're trying to give you save time, give you visibility and control, and help you generate more passive income. And it
Yeah.
all starts with our banking experience, where, like I mentioned, you can open a digital business checking account within minutes. It's super
Okay.
easy. There's an application process here. I won't go through that right now. But really, the power of this is a few things. One is we give you up to 4.19% APY, which is annual percentage yield, on all deposits inside this account. And there are tiers here in terms of like how much money you put in unlocks more. But
Okay.
today, I bet most people are not earning anything, right? So if your
No.
cash is sitting there, you're just losing the opportunity. That's one thing. The other is on our debit card side, which is obviously we issue a debit card. You earn anywhere from 1 to 5% cash back depending on what you're using it for as well. Again,
Got it.
incentivizing real estate investors with real estate related activities. And so
Got it.
you can open a bank account. And like I said, it's really for any type of investor. But the vast majority of us are long-term investors. So let's look at that, right? Like you have
Okay.
opened this main bank account, but we have something called virtual accounts, or kind of like envelopes, and
Okay.
allows you to organize all the different activities you need to be doing into these sub
Mm.
accounts. So for example, you mentioned, you put a tenant in there. What are you
Yeah.
doing with the security deposit? Are you separating it
Right.
properly
Right.
into a separate? Normally you'd have to go down to the branch and open another account. While here,
Yeah.
it takes a few seconds to open a virtual account, and you can park that money
Mm.
separate, for example.
Wow.
All of us project pro formas, right? All of us project maintenance reserve or vacancies and all of that stuff, but we never separate those funds, which you should be doing on a monthly, quarterly basis. Here, you
Mm.
can do that. You can create a separate account, start putting the money away for a rainy day, which will come in real estate.
Yeah.
Like the roof
Yeah.
will collapse on you or something will happen. You need the money, right? It
Yeah.
happens all the time. And maybe you want to do another deal, right? Are you saving up for that deal, right? Are you putting money
Mm.
aside, for example? Sometimes you want to like set up different accounts for properties because that's how you like to manage things. Really, you can nerd out and do a lot of different things here. This is just one example. So this is one
Okay.
of our core features. And the other
Okay.
one is virtual debit cards. Now, this is mind blowing because we've taken what's been mostly available in the corporate space and brought it
Wow.
to the everyday investor. You do get a
Wow.
physical debit card, but we're
Yeah.
giving you the chance to basically open these what we call virtual debit cards. So these are basically cards that you can create for specific purposes. So here,
Okay.
for example, it's for a water bill, Home Depot spend, paying the property manager. Maybe the property manager is using that card for maintenance and repairs,
Mm.
etc.
Okay.
One of the
Okay.
things I like to do is I like to give this card to my property manager. I
Okay.
don't know if this is going to work here, by the way. I have the wrong code. And the property manager can plug this into a Home Depot app, a Venmo, or whatever
Mm.
they're using to pay the vendors or buy things they need to run the property. Now, the beauty
Wow.
of this is you can set limits. You can define the property or units it's for, the unit it's for in advance, and you can tag the category that is for what the bookkeeping category, the tax category in advance. And so we have 120 categories, all real estate related, all that map back to Schedule E. And so in this case, you see, this is for management fees. If I said, no, this is a repair card, I can just say, okay, this is repairs. So whenever
Yeah.
the property manager is going to use his card, it's always going to auto tag it to this property and that category. So guess what? My bookkeeping is already done. I don't
Wow.
have to do anything, right?
Wow.
It saves you
Yeah.
so much time. Same thing with
Mm.
water bill. I hate having to sit there and figure out, hey, like I have 12 water bills. Which one is for which property? I have no
Right.
idea,
Right.
right? You can do that, for example, and so
Mm.
on. If you're doing Airbnb and short-term rentals and cleaning fees and supply runs and
Mm.
all this kind of stuff, again, you can set up these virtual debit cards, set up rules, and they're very secure. You can lock them if you want to, right? You can terminate the card, all of that stuff. And
Got you.
so these two really features alone are a game changer because they really help you, again, organize as a business and automate so you can get that time back to do the things you should be doing in terms of growing the business. So that's just a
Wow.
highlight of the banking. In
Yeah.
addition to that, you might say, hey, well, Saad, I have a credit card, I have other things. What about those accounts? Well, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Connect those accounts in, and then that flows into our master transaction ledger.
Wow.
And we have something called one-click categorization. Just figure out what it's for and boom, just like, select the category. You can
Mm.
add notes, you can add receipts, you can split transactions, you can do all kinds of things here. But the most most exciting part for me is the cash flow statement. So
Man,
if
let's
you
talk
go
about
here,
it.
so now we're talking about, hey, how did we actually do, right?
Yeah,
Take a look at the property. We just picked one in Austin here as a dummy property. You can start to see how you're doing over the last few months, the last year. You can do just 1 month. You can filter by any type, any type of date filter. And then you can say like, oh wow, like how come this I didn't make money in November? What happened here? You can
right.
look into it. You can see where the money went, and you can kind of figure out, you know what, I had more expenses. There was a leak. There was a huge water bill. Whatever that is, right?
Yeah,
Now you have an idea of what is going on.
yeah.
And then if you want to
Wow,
be professional and really understand how you're performing, you can look at a financial statement. Here you see
wow.
the sort of a P&L view of everything that you're earning, income, expenses, loans, if you have capex and so on. You can run different kinds of reports. You can do a Schedule E report for tax time. You could even do custom. Let's say you just want to say, I just want to look at mortgage payments or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And you can export all of this data. And we have something called a tax package, which you can download and send to your CPA with all of this stuff and the
Wow.
receipts all in one place. So really a few clicks gives you insights, gives you control and visibility around all the spend to make sure you're making money in the right way. And then lastly, I'll quickly touch on this. I won't go too deep, but we also have a whole property management section, right? You
Mm,
can all in one, right? Run your whole business here. So here you can set up a property, you can set up a lease, you can invite your tenants, and they have a simple portal that allows them to pay online through ACH credit card, debit card.
okay.
And we track the payment statuses so you know where your money is at all times. Super easy. Like this process takes a few minutes to set up, pretty
Yep.
standard stuff. You can add late fees that auto charge the late fees. You can add other monthly recurring fees. You can do one-time move-in fees, a key fee,
Awesome.
whatever all the different kinds of variations that are there.
Yeah.
And again, all of this allows you to just, within a few minutes, set up rent collection
Wow.
and have your tenants also have a very digital experience. Another stat I'll give you: 80% of tenants in the U.S. from the one of the last reports I read. This is not our data, by the way. This is an independent third-party report. Want to
Yeah.
pay rent online,
Wow. Yeah. It's easier.
right? It's
Yeah.
easier. And so you see, this is just a demo account, but you can set up all these things. You can then send your tenant this URL, or
Mm,
you could just
wow.
their email. They'll get an email to set up the rent collection. Super easy, fast, convenient, and really saves you again a lot of time, and you
Yeah.
save your tenants time, and it helps you just become more professional to run your whole business. In addition
You
to
know,
that,
let's
we have other things like we've made insurance easy for you. You can
yeah,
get a
go ahead, ask about
quote
that. Okay.
and bind a policy within a few minutes. Lending, same thing. There's a lot more in here, but I just wanted to give some quick highlights.
Yeah. No, listen, Saad, that's absolutely amazing. I mean, I know people right now that can benefit from that. And also, too, as you all are watching this, if you want to get access to this and you want to learn more about it, compare it to whatever you've been comparing things to. Again, you guys can go ahead and scan this QR code right above my head here, and you all can learn more about Baselane right now and get that information. And inside, you touched on a few things. I got a few questions. Number one, you said that because let's talk about cost. Okay. You said that Baselane is free. So access to the software is free. What are some things that they would have to pay for? Example.
That's a great question. Yeah. So we're about 3 years old, and so we're kind of iterating on the model, the business model, and figuring out how it's going to go.
Yeah.
But today, everything I just showed you is free to sign up and access,
Hmm.
including the banking and the rent collection, everything.
Wow.
In terms of the banking, the way, and we like to be transparent with our customers, right? It's not
Absolutely.
like we're trying to hide anything. The way we make money is if you deposit dollars, that helps us generate revenue. If you use our debit cards, that helps us
Got it.
earn money. Right? That's on the banking side.
Okay.
On the bookkeeping side, we're not really charging anything, but we're giving you a lot of value back. If you use a competitive
Yeah.
software that's doing this and makes you, a lot harder to set up and use for real estate, it's going
Yeah.
to cost you anywhere from $80 to $100 a month easily, for example.
Mm,
Right?
got you.
On the rent collection side, really the landlord has no fees today. The tenants, they have to, it could be paid by the landlord or the tenant for the ACH processing fees. There is a $2 fee to help
Got it.
cover the costs. If they're using debit card and credit cards, that's like that everywhere, all
Yeah.
merchants.
Absolutely.
We have I think about a 3%, 2.99% fee on that if they're paying that way today.
Wow. Wow.
And the other ways that we're making money is that if you're buying insurance through us with one of our partners or loans, we do obviously get some referral commissions there as well. But we really have tried to be very, true to our customers. by finding the best partners and the ones that we think are also like worth recommending to you, so that it's easy but also like convenient and competitive in terms of pricing for you. And we are going to be rolling out more of a pro tier. So you might have seen like a beta for fast payments and things like that. There's a lot more we're building on the banking side. So we're going to be launching a pro tier, which will have a competitive monthly subscription fee. And, you know, again, we want to make it valuable to you. So it will be competitive. It will have a lot of value in it. And we'll see how it goes from there. We're a customer driven company. We listen to our customers. We listen to the feedback that we get from them. And we then figure out what are we going to build and how do we, you know, go to market with it and all of that.
Wow. I mean, this is so much value that people are getting, you know, free access to within the Baselane platform. And what I love is that no one is excluded from it. You know, whether they have their first property, whether they don't have any properties yet, and they just want to get a feel for the software. You know, but I think that this is so good because there's a lot of things. I think that people, they get excited about buying property, and whether they decide that they want to buy it, they want to flip it and then sell it, or they want to keep it for themselves, as they're deciding those factors, I think that sometimes people just look at the numbers, but they don't have it right there in front of them, or they have to build out something custom almost within these other platforms like QuickBooks or something like that. But I love how everything's all in one, like everything's all in one particular software, like it's all in one platform. Just the rent collection alone is absolutely amazing. You know, so I think that man, that alone is most definitely going to be saving a lot of people some time.
You have no idea. Like I was talking to an investor who, you know, has like 8 properties or something like that. And she was saying, you know, oh, we're using Zelle. And I said, how are you charging late fees? How are you tracking all this? She's like, oh, you know, we have these spreadsheets with my mom. We're going crazy. Like we always get lost. Like we don't know where it is. And then if I said, what happens if you're like 2 or 3 months behind? How do you track? Oh, that's like, yeah, it's a complete mess. You know, and then there's like legal and compliance issues, right? If you're evicting somebody, like you can't take $1, right? For example, in certain states. But if you allow the Venmo, Cash App type of transactions and they send you something, they could be ineligible for that. And that happens. This is a reality. Not that we want to do that as owners with our tenants, but those are things that happen in this business. And so we need to think about those things on the rent collection side, but also like give the tenant the convenience, right? I know tenants that have to go down and get a money order that costs them money.
Still, wow.
It's just, no, this is happening. This 30-40% of rent is still through cash and checks.
Wow.
And they don't have checkbooks. So they're going to have to pay $7-8 for a money order just to pay the rent. Right. And
and they got to get up, leave the house, drive there.
Exactly. So we want to give that experience to the tenants too, which is a convenience factor. And as an owner, it's better for you, right? It helps you run your business more smoothly. And I didn't mention other things like if you collect rent and you're collecting it into a Baselane banking account, not like another account you connect, we're going to auto tag that as rent for you. So again, bookkeeping is getting done, right? Wow. I know that bookkeeping is hard. It's kind of like homework that a lot of people don't do like all the time. But again, if we're serious about growth and we want to like scale and achieve our goals, we have to do it.
Right? Got you. So in your opinion, it's not best business practice to essentially collect rent via Zelle or Cash App. It's much easier to just have a platform like Baselane.
Absolutely. I think there's again legal and compliance issues with that, but there's also now a lot more regulations. I'm sure you've seen like the 1099s that are coming up now, right? Based on how much you're collecting, right? So you need to professionalize, and it affects you at tax time too, right? Like you need to be able to like have everything in one place. We interviewed, I think 20 or 30 CPAs in January this year, right before tax season started. And we asked them like, what are you seeing with real estate investors? What are the trends, like the things that are good and things that are not good? One of the things they said is like a lot of them don't come prepared, right? And then they ask us to help prepare the financial statements. And I said, do you like to, like, one thing is accountants don't want to do that because that's not worth their time. But if they do, they're charging you, the minimum I heard was $150 an hour to do that for you. Right? So think about it that way. So do you want to pay somebody, I don't know, $800 to $1,000 just to get the financial statements ready? Or do you want to just have it monthly with Baselane so it's already there? You can just download it and send it to the accountant.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. I think, again, and you know what, to be honest, I think that people, they don't know what to go with because, you know, as property owners, they may type up, you know, property management software, and then they just go with whatever they see. but and then they end up paying for something, halfway using it, not using it right. And then they have to add on these add-ons, for a lot of the
Right.
stuff that you all are providing, all in one platform. I think that's absolutely amazing. I really like how you had the payment link. Like you said, if there's a lost key or it makes so much sense because there are things that come up, like like you mentioned, a lost key or maintenance, things of that sort. And also too, I think having those digital debit cards, if there is something that needs to get taken care of or something like that, I think that's absolutely amazing because if we're comparing, let's say, Baselane to traditional banking, you have to get up, go to the bank, bring the documents, open up the account versus having to do it within the platform. It takes less than 5 minutes to do it. And and you say in most cases it's approved. Of course, it's everything passes through. And now they have instant access to having that bank account, and they can again, for example, putting that security deposit where it needs to be in a separate account. But instead of having to go to the bank and go through the process, sitting there for 30 minutes to an hour, especially if it's under a business, it takes time. It most definitely takes time.
It takes time, and like just the experience of like opening a bank account. I can tell you
Yeah.
when I first started this, and I think I opened one of the larger banks. I won't say the name here just to be safe.
Yeah.
It took me and my partner, because I have a partner, and then you have to do paperwork and all this
Yep.
stuff.
The LLC. Yep.
It took
Articles.
us 2 weeks to open the checking account.
Oh,
2
wow.
weeks.
Wow.
Literally, because we were like, we were waiting to buy a property, and you have to pay through the property for
Yep.
the LLC to
Yep.
write the check, and we couldn't do it because we were like scrambling to get it open. And there's a lot
Boy.
of scenarios, even on the rent collection side, right? I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Like last week, one of my tenants, there was an issue that they caused, right? We
Okay.
got it immediately repaired, but it cost like $280, right? So now I need to invoice the tenant. How do I do that? In Baselane, not only can you do the rent collection, you can add invoices in there, like a one-time invoice, right? I put the 280, I describe what it's for, I put a due date, and again, it goes to the tenant, and the tenant can also just, same way they pay rent, they can go in there and pay that too, for example.
Wow.
Now, this happens all the time, right? Like you said, if there's other issues that come up that you have to bill them for, you can do that, right?
Wow.
And then with the security deposit, you can manage it properly, but you can also issue it, disperse it, right, when you need to, as well, right? If we think about all the things we have to do, there's so much manual time that we all spend. That's what we're saying when we say what is Baselane doing.
Yeah.
It's helping you save time and giving you visibility and control. That's
Man.
really, really important.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely amazing, man. I think it really is. And not only that, because you're also speaking from a level of experience because you're actually using the platform yourself. And let's talk about that actually side, if you don't mind. So, if you don't mind us asking, with your 18 properties that you have, the ones that you like, I would say the early stages, like when you were just learning how to do all of these things. One, I do want to ask you about the BRRRR method because that's something that you've done recently. But then also too, I want to let's kind of go back in time when you bought your first property, your second property, your third property. How was that process for you?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it was pretty rough. My first property was the one that I had the personal home and
Okay.
just started kind of accidentally, so that was
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And I didn't kind of start investing after that until 2 years later.
Okay.
And that's not by choice. That's just because I wasn't successful. I
Yeah.
tried to make offers. I tried to figure it out. It just was not clicking. 2.5 years was just trying stuff and just failing.
Yeah.
And eventually I partnered up with somebody, and then we said, okay, we're going to redo a strategy and figure out a new market and really invest in that. And we did, and we were successful, thank God. But, it took some time. But when we got the first deal, and we had to renovate a little bit. So we did that. Because it's a BRRRR method, we always do the renovation up front, right? We do the improvements, the force appreciation. And there's a whole conversation about, like contractors and all of that. We can talk about that separately. That was pretty tough. But when we did complete the property, we had to get rented out. Then we said, okay, like, what are we going to use? And at that point, I was already working for Baselane. So I already knew we were going to use Baselane.
Got it.
So for our experience, we were a little bit ahead of the game there, I feel like, because sometimes, you do manual or you do some other random platform. We were already there, and we had already set up our lease on Baselane. We had already set that up, and we invited our tenants.
Wow.
So actually, we from day one had Baselane there for us to do the rent collection. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna let you finish that, but I was also gonna go into, I keep forgetting. Some people may not know what the BRRRR method is. So So if you could explain that as well too.
Yeah, sure. So the BRRRR method is something that's actually called like repositioning as well. It's a
Okay.
quite an old method. It's not necessarily new,
Yeah.
but it was popularized a lot by the Bigger Pockets team a few years ago,
Yeah. Big deal.
Brandon Turner and those guys.
Yeah.
And so basically, the BRRRR method stands for buy, right, rehab, refinance, rent out, and repeat.
Wow.
And the idea there is when you buy something that's hopefully a very competitive price because it needs repairs,
Yep.
you're getting a good deal on it, and then you invest money to do the rehab, to do force appreciation, like fixing it up, adding a half bathroom, adding a bedroom, right? Like stuff like that to improve the valuation of the property.
Yeah.
And then you rent it out because you need a lease for the refi. You rent it
Yep.
out to tenants, get the leases in place. Then you refi, which is like going to a bank and saying, I want to get a mortgage on this property.
Yeah.
And the idea there is you can cash out a lot of your cash up to
Yeah.
anywhere from 65 to 80% LTV,
That's
loan
right.
to value. And then because you did the forced appreciation, you would have had, the cash back you get would have been more than hopefully like you expected. Sometimes it's like a little bit less than what you put in. Sometimes it's more than what you put in. Depends on what you did.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of your cash back, and then now you can do the repeat part, which is do your next deal,
Wow.
basically.
Wow. Man,
Yeah.
that's absolutely amazing. And I think, I love that concept. And like you said, shout out to Bigger Pockets too, man, because they gave so much information, on that concept. But
Huge.
again, people think that that's it, right? I've done it. I've got, because I know people that have successfully done it. And then, but they don't have the conversation like we're having now. Like, okay, what happens post, ownership, right?
Absolutely. There's a whole management aspect that just was like, holy moly. Now we got to manage
Yeah.
this thing. The tenants are emailing us. Do we need a property manager? Like,
Yeah,
how do
that's
I
real.
need a handyman? There's so
Yeah.
many things you're trying to figure out. Rental property insurance. It's amazing. Like I really admire and I'm very proud of anybody who becomes a landlord because
Yeah.
I know personally what it takes to become that, even just for one
Yeah.
property.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And kudos to you. You're going out there, working hard for your family, trying to make it happen. You're not watching TV and sleeping in. You're out there hustling, right?
Yep.
But if you do all of this work, don't you want a tool that helps you make it easier, right?
Mhm.
Don't you
Yeah.
want a platform that educates you and helps you get to your next deal and your next deal, right?
Yeah.
And achieve your goals? And join a community of people that are doing that, right? So we can all work together. So I think like it's very hard. Being an owner is not necessarily passive. I know it says passive income, but man,
Yeah.
this word passive, I don't know what it means because it's not passive at all,
Mm.
right? Like rental property investing is not passive.
Man.
And I'll tell you personally, me, right? Like every morning between like 7:30 and 8:30, that's what I'm doing. I'm dealing with the property manager. I'm just working on issues. When I log off of my day job in the evenings, guess what I'm doing? Real estate
Mm.
investing, new deals,
Yep.
calls with my partner, property management stuff, right? Like renovations, because it's almost like another job, full-time job.
Wow. Wow.
So
This is a
anything that we can do to help with that, to reduce the time it takes to do all these manual tasks,
yeah.
that's what we want to play. And that's what Baselane is trying to give you is that value, but also this time saving and the visibility and control. So you can like really scale your investment. I'll share one more story with you guys.
Sure.
I was talking to a team that helps professional investors with data analytics a few weeks ago, right? And the dashboards I saw they had, because they have a lot of data, short-term rentals and all this, is mind-blowing.
Mm.
But I walked away from that. I said, man, this is so unfair.
Mm.
Like all of us, we can't like even afford it, right? To
Mm.
get to that level, to get access to that data. We can't make decisions like that.
Mm.
Right. So when you hear the large investors going into cities, buying up single family homes and all this stuff,
Yeah.
it's like we are at a disadvantage as smaller mom and pop investors.
Mm.
And we need the technology and the tools and the know-how to compete with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? How we do that together? That's kind of like what we're talking about here.
Wow. It is, and I'm so glad we had this conversation too, because there's a lot of people that are I would say they're in different spaces right now, different phases of where they want to be. Some people are they're getting the information. They're deciding if they want to buy property, if they want that to be part of their income portfolio, their retirement portfolio. Then you have some people, they already own a couple properties or their first property. And they're saying, man, should I even do something as crazy as Saad, where I'm buying, I have 18 properties and such. But you know what is, I want her to quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if it's unorganized, you're probably thinking, okay, I'm just going to have more unorganization. And so, but again, platforms like Baselane is going to make that process a lot easier, and it's going to help you scale, like you mentioned, because I think stress keeps a lot of people from doing a lot of things. And instead of thinking that, because we're so used to doing everything ourselves and doing everything manually and doing things like the way we've always done it, but there are easier ways to do this thing, especially when you're learning from someone who, like for Saad, for example, who has over 18 properties, and that's amazing. And said, okay, you know what? This is what he does. This is what he uses. This is what makes his process a lot easier. So, listen, we most definitely appreciate you taking out the time today to be on the channel and giving people the information as well. Is there anything that you want to leave with people before we wrap up today?
Yes, I know that there are always people that are starting at 0 properties or 1 property, and in fact, we have a lot of people that create accounts with us at that level, which is totally fine, and we encourage that because it's amazing that you're already thinking ahead and getting ahead of the game to get things set up. And so one thing I'll leave you with is that if you're in that stage, it's totally fine to come on Baselane, set up your banking account. Maybe you need to register an LLC. We give you an option for that. Maybe you need to get sort of like your expenses organized, right? And keep tracking all that money you're spending on deal hunting and everything. But one thing I'll share is also we have a lot of educational content. And I've been personally involved in this for the last 2.5 years, is building out knowledgeable content that helps you across all aspects of your business really understand, all the way from our real estate investing strategies to bookkeeping. We have free webinars that talk to you a little bit about different topics. We have guides, all kinds of things, leasing and rent collection, legal, right? Like property management. So there's a lot of information on our website and our blog as well, that if you're interested to learn more, it's available for you. Again, because our mission is to help you be successful in achieving your financial goals through real estate investing. And we're providing you the platform, but also some of the educational tools here in case that's helpful.
Man, absolutely. And you know what? I actually read some of those articles. And guys, listen, there's some great articles that and it's not really just articles. It's really, like you just mentioned, real estate investor, education. And guys, this is free information, so for them to take their time out, put this information together, and it's literally for you. It's literally for you to say, okay, you know what? I have that question. I want to know, is it better to take a security deposit or a move-in fee based on what state I'm in? I want to know the top 3 banks for landlords. That's there. Is it better to collect, as of course Saad already answered this, but some people had that question. Is it okay to collect rent via Cash App, Zelle, or using a platform, like Baselane? Again, those questions can be answered easily for free, within the Baselane platform. So again, Saad, thank you so much for taking out your time today. And again, guys, listen, make sure you all go ahead and scan this QR code right here at the top. Go ahead and scan that QR code and you can get free access to Baselane today. And honestly, just all the features that he just mentioned is absolutely amazing. And here's the thing. Most of these things that you're doing already. And not only are you doing it already, but are you making that experience for your tenant more difficult? And even though that people are used to doing what they're doing, could things be easier is the question. And like Saad said earlier today, it's all about saving time. So how much time, our most important commodity, how much time are you has been taking away from you just by what you're doing on a daily basis? And I think that's absolutely amazing. So thanks again, Saad, for stopping by the channel today. We greatly appreciate your time today.
It's my pleasure, and thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, guys, have a good one.